and some stay the same, the way it's always been, like setting off and coming home. We've been part of life here for generations, sailing in every season for 130 years, showing the wonders of our home, and weathering the storms together. We are the shared legacy of one man's vision that began long ago in 1893. And the ships and the crew, the guests and the partners, the families and the friends to make it a reality. This is the story of all of us. The story we created together. The living legend of the world's most beautiful voyage. Hurtigruten Norwegian Coastal Express. This year, come and celebrate our 130 years together.
The coastline of Norway is the best backdrop you could have for the Northern Lights. Islands, fjords, snow-capped mountains. Taking the ships up the coast is an incredible way to experience it because you feel like a polar explorer. To stand there on the ship and watch the landscape go by, knowing that you're making your way into the land of the Northern Lights, it takes it into the realm of an expedition.
Don't visit Norway. Don't visit Bergen, Tromsø, or Lofoten. We built the foundation of the Norwegian coastline for you to live it, feel, taste. Breathe Norway. Dive into our history and listen to untold stories. Understand where we come from and learn where we're heading. Care for the coast we sail on, as we have done for generations and will continue to do for generations to come. Travel like us and become a part of who we are. So when our paths cross again, we'll greet each other like old friends. So don't just visit. Live the legend of Norway.
Wow, who doesn't want to go to Norway now? That is amazing, Linn. Oh my God, that is so freaking amazing. Hey everybody, how you doing? Tara, you are so sweet. Tara says that I've been missed. Thank you. I know we've missed like 2 Thursdays in a row. Welcome everybody to Thursday Night Cruise Chat Live. I'm Walter, your independent travel advisor with Where's Walter Travel, and I'm so excited to have Linn joining us from Hurtigruten. Hey Linn.
God dag, or I should say god kväll, good evening.
Great. I don't know what's the language called? Is it Nordish?
Norwegian.
What is it called?
Norwegian.
Okay. We're all going to learn together. So how do we say hello?
Well, hello's hey, but good evening is god kväll, and good day is god dag. God kväll.
Good night. Okay, everybody practice at home. We'll have a test later.
Yeah.
Hey, we've got Jen, Kathy, Tara's here, Barbara's here, Rick is here, Betty, Mary. Hello, everybody. Yes, what a great topic to cover. I'm so excited because I've talked to multiple clients about cruises over to Norway. We've talked, of course, about the Northern Light, even had some discussions about the Midnight Sun. And look, when we talk about all of that, there's really one company that does it like nobody else. And it might be somebody you've never heard of. You might not know how to say it. What's the proper way to say it, Linn?
Well, I am a country bumpkin from Norway, so even my Norwegian counterparts would probably balk at the way I pronounce the company name, but I say Hurtigruten, which actually is probably correct. Hurtigruten, it means the fast route. Hurtigruten, fast route.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So now we all know how to say that. I just say Hurtigruten, which
Hurtigrutens perfectly fine in American
that's
English,
kind of
not
how
to
we do it
worry.
in American English. So, folks, as always, if you have any questions at all about Norway, about Hurtigruten, I mean, you got the expert here tonight. What you were born and raised in Norway, right?
I was actually born in Dade County, Miami, but I'm raised in Norway. I'm a Love Boat child. My parents worked on a cruise ship. So
Oh,
long nights out to sea. Ta-da! Here I am.
I love it. I love it. Hey, Norma, how are you? So, of course, as always, folks, if you guys have questions at all, Lynn is our expert here tonight, and I'm so excited. I'm ready to send you guys on some of these amazing journeys, including the craziest Northern Lights tour that anybody offers, and we'll talk about that later. But why don't we kind of get started, with who is this company? And if, for those of you who saw the countdown, you heard a little bit of it. But if you missed the countdown, who is this company? What's the connection to Norway and the Norway coast?
All right. If you just pop up my screen there,
I'm going to pop up your screen. Look at that.
first, just in the vein of the expert, I don't know if I'm an expert, but I did grow up right along the Trondheimsfjord, so I've been with Hurtigruten now in various capacities since 2016. May or may not have hired on with a cheeky Sarah Palin tagline, I could see the ship from my house. And then the second thing I did say was that I'm probably the only applicant who can pronounce the company name. So that's how I got started. I always just want to throw a quick shout out to my amazing counterpart in the West, Tiffany Kilgoss. We are your sales team party of
Aw.
two. And before I get into the question of the Norway brand, let's just solidify the fact that we are in fact talking
Right.
about Norway. So you may have heard Hurtigruten in conjunction with Antarctica or Iceland or Greenland. So just so you know, we are two sister companies. Hurtigruten, the fast route, all things Norway with a side of Norway. And when you think we're done with Norway, we're going to sprinkle some Norway on there. And then HX does handle all of the expeditions to these remote destinations. I always joke, if you're sick of people, take an expedition. They'll take you to where there are no people, no human infrastructure, lots of penguins, wildlife, nature, not a lot of people. But just so that you guys know, we do have those two sister brands. But I'm so happy you asked that question about Norway and Hurtigruten's tie to Norway. So to understand Hurtigruten, you need to understand Norway. And that I won't tell all of these facts, but I will boast we do have the second longest coastline in the world. If you were to stretch out all of our 1,700 fjords and 50,000 islands, in fact, the
Holy
coastline
crap.
will be close to
Wow.
63,000 miles. So what you could imagine with Norway, 2/3 of the country's mountainous, 1,700 fjords. So that should immediately tell you that we have one of the most stunning coastlines in the world. We
Wow.
have this beautiful, amazing waterfront property, and then we have to send a letter, and the post office is on the other side of the so very logistically challenging to navigate
Okay.
the coastline. So
All
that
right.
is how we came to be all the way back in 1893. So if you can see
Wow.
this long country, again, second longest coastline in the world, very, very challenging to navigate. So mail would take
Right.
weeks in the summer to navigate
Wow.
in the winter. So how we came to be is in 1891, the government just basically floated out a contract to seafarers and just said, is anybody able to navigate the coastline in a quicker manner so that we can connect these regions of Norway?
Wow.
So 1893, July 2nd, in fact, Richard Witt, our founder, he commandeers the DS Vesterålen, which you see pictured here. And what used to take weeks to months, he started from Trondheim and he sailed up here to Hammerfest in a matter of 3 days. So now let's get back to the name.
Right.
Hurtigruten. We are very literal people. My maiden name is Usline. I am named after a gravel road called Usline in Norway. So if you're asking if Captain Richard Witt
Wow.
talked to his buddies and said, Hans, that was a fast route, don't you think so? We should probably call this a fast route. And that's how we kind of came to be all the way in 1893.
I didn't know we were getting voices through this show.
Yes,
I'm liking this.
I am here in a live
I'm
setting.
really liking this. I'm
This
really
call
liking this.
is recorded for your quality assurance. So yes, no, it did happen, but it's very important to note that when we did that, history was made. We solidified ourselves as an absolute lifeline to the Norwegian coast. Prosperity from fishing villages, export was born. We made it through the Second World War. The fleet was decimated, had to rebuild. We are so well known in Norway. I'm showing you footage from our very own Hurtigruten Museum. So even though we may not occupy a lot of real estate in your brains now, but in Norway, we are a legacy route. If you, I will excuse the video there. I am obviously not getting hired to work on the ships.
You are not going to be able to throw the rope from the ship.
No. You are in luck. I am not manning the ship. I am only on board for your entertainment. So consider me the cruise director. But cool. Just to kind of let you know, these were working ships and they still are. So we carry passengers port to port. We provision the northern communities with cargo. We would take X number of cars. But again, don't forget, 1,700 fjords, 2/3 of the country being mountainous, world's most beautiful voyage. So naturally, we just grew to accommodate more and more leisure travelers. And that is kind of how we got our start. And that is our connection to the Norwegian coast. Yeah.
That is pretty cool.
And if you just watch here, there you go, slow-mo with my 2-inch vertical as I perform for you there on the decommissioned MS Finnmarken from 1956.
That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
I love that. I love the whole story. The whole story is just fabulous.
Yeah, it's a cool story. Yep.
Oh my gosh. So and you guys still are very much, you're a combination working ship plus a pleasure vehicle, a pleasure vessel, right?
That doesn't sound 8 to 5 appropriate, Walter, but yes, we'll call it leisure travelers. Yes.
Leisure traveler. Okay. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. Okay.
I kid, yes.
So now one of the things that, I've had conversations with some people about your cruises, and they're like, well, there's like 35 port stops. What the heck, man? Does the ship even stop, or do we just kind of wave and go, hi, how are you? So for people, especially those people who are used to ocean cruises, they're used to, river cruises. And then you've got original voyages and you've got signature voyages. So we've got a lot of things going on here. And we can book you for 1 day to 17 days. So we got a lot of things going on that naturally will confuse people who have only been on ocean or rivers. So why don't we start with original versus signature? So you have these two packages of voyages. What are they?
Okay. So basically with the original, and I have it up on my screen again. So original, what I just told you with that legacy route from 1893, 34 ports of call between Bergen and Kirkenes. From here on forth, that is original. Anytime you hear original, think 34 ports of call. You can do as much or as little as you want. You can do any stretch between Bergen and Kirkenes if you are a slave to corporate America. You just don't have that kind of vacation time. You can do a port to port, or you can do a full round trip. But the question of what happens on board, we master this route. So just think on average, you'll have one port per day where you're going to have a few hours in port. But there are many times we only stop for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 45 minutes. It can come off as pretty wonky, and it's a form of public transportation in a sense, which is a bit of a foreign concept, I think, to America at large, because we don't have that kind of infrastructure. But it makes perfect sense to us. But you just need to know that after a while, these shorter port stops, they're really not something that you notice, because you could be sitting in a lecture, you could be having your dinner. It's basically, we are still a lifeline to the Norwegian coast, almost 131 years later. So that's the original. So we are contracted with the Norwegian government to be in port at very, very specific times. So when you travel on the original, you're actually traveling like a Norwegian would travel. You're traveling like a local, which is actually quite immersive, and that is
Wow.
an up and coming trend. However, so let's talk about signature. So original, and I'll get to this a little bit later. I'm kind of bouncing back and forth, but signature, this is a product that we launched in conjunction with our 130th anniversary. Commercial.
Nice.
So original is not commercial. We are obligated to be in port, and next after the Germans, we are the most punctual people in the world. But we don't quite have the Germans. They are very punctual, yeah. But the signature voyages, that is a lot more intuitive to a North American client because we're not obligated to be in port. So original, you might have 6 ports in a day. Signature, you're going to have 1 main port per day, and the average
Gotcha.
port time will be 6 hours. Some will be 12 hours, some will be 4 hours. It's more inclusive with included sodas, beers, wines. That might be something that a North American guest is more accustomed to. Heavier
Sure.
focus on culinary, and it is more of a premium experience on signature, but it still maintains that amazing essence that makes us this cool company from 1893. So one, you are going like a local. The other one is going to be closer to what you might be used to with river and with ocean, but it's still going to give you the most authentically Norwegian experience.
Gotcha. And I believe you have like an example to show us, right, of what a typical itinerary, like one of those 34 port itineraries might look like. Because it's still kind of mind-boggling that you're going to stop at that many places.
I'm going to first show you here. Which screen am I on? So this is the original course, Norwegian flags. That's another thing too, that teachers will take their kids out of the class and they will run down to the beaches and they will wave the Norwegian flag. So when you sail with Hurtigruten, you will encounter many different places where we're all just waving the flag and say, Hurtigruten, they're always welcoming us. Something really cool about original, and I do have that day by day, is that we have 6 ships operating this itinerary year round. So if you are, let's say, stuck on time, any given week of the year, we have multiple departures. Very, very flexible there. And just to give you an idea of what the port stays look like, and then I'll show you.
Here we go.
Exactly. So we do make stops all throughout the night as well. But again, these are things you become numb to, and you just embrace the essence of what makes this itinerary so cool. But you're not going to be bored, because when you're on board, there is so much going on with regard to points of interest out on deck. For example, we have so many areas of historical and cultural significance. We're going to teach you about those. It's not just going to be like picture 3,456 in your camera roll. It's going to be that mountain where that Norse god proposed to that Norse goddess. It's an immersive experience. We'll have food tastings out on deck. We have lectures. You'll learn about the drama of the Fram expeditions, learn about the polar expeditioners. All of these pictures I actually just took from my 2 back-to-back cruises in May. So, and if you can imagine that the ships also hug the Norwegian coast for the majority of the way. So you're never going to be bored, because you're always going to be taking in this beautiful scenery. And again, it is the world's most beautiful coastline. Don't at me, because I will come at you sideways. But it's stunning. You will taste the coast of Norway. You see the coast of Norway. You learn about Norway. You travel like a Norwegian. So it's a really magical itinerary. And this is just a sample of one day, but you can see it's pretty action-packed.
Yeah. And apparently there's dancing involved. I don't have a video, but folks, if you go find Linn on Instagram, you've been warned, but there is dancing. There's a lot of dancing that takes place on these too. You are hilarious with the dancing.
Listen, the goal is to dance poorly, and it's expedition_Linn, Linn. If you want to give it a gander, I do a really mean Elaine and a good Phoebe run. So I like to pride myself on that.
That was a good Elaine. I'll give you that. You do a great Elaine. It's just pure fun. What was that? Expedition_Linn?
Yeah, Linn, because we spell it differently, we Norwegians.
Yeah. So definitely, if you're on Instagram, I definitely encourage you to do that, because she just did a couple of great trips recently that are absolutely stunning. and the fun that you were having with everybody is absolutely great. Now, before we jump on to the next question, next topic, we do actually have a question right here from Alex. Hey, Alex, how you doing? We have family in Finland. Do you sail out of or make any port stops in Finland?
We have, do you want me to skip on over to that
Yeah,
itinerary there?
you can just answer now, and we can
Okay.
show the
So
itineraries later.
we don't sail into Finland, but we do have a tour in the winter. It's called Follow the Northern Lights. So we would start or end in Helsinki. You have Rovaniemi. You have the Sami Museum. You have Santa's Village, dog sledding, igloo hotels. So we do have one land package in the winter that does traverse Finland under the northern lights. And then in the summer, we also chase midnight sun. So we'll have Sweden, Finland as well that you can
Yeah,
choose between. So we have it as part of a packaged tour,
there
but
you
our
go.
cruises will stay in Norway.
There you go. Great question, Alex. Thank you so
Thank
much. I
you.
really appreciate it. Yeah, we will be talking a lot more about chasing that amazing north. By the way, that picture that you're seeing in the background, that is a Hurtigruten photo back there. That's not like some digital anything. That's an actual photo. And you guys have an actual, folks, they have an Aurora chaser. That's his job. That is
That's
literally
his
his
job,
job
Tom
to
Thurs.
find it.
Yes.
Uh, so thank you for explaining, some of that onboard programming and everything. So,
Yeah.
so folks, so they are working ships. And this is why you have all of these stops. Because I assume that at some of these stops, you're letting things off, you're bringing some things on, so
Yeah.
you're moving logistic things around the country, right?
Correct. Yes, because even the train only goes as far north as Bodø. So anything north of Bodø, and there's quite a bit of stretch northern, it's basically us. We provision. We are an absolute lifeline. Also, it's not uncommon to see you might have a whole soccer team pop on for a few hours because they're going to a soccer tournament. Don't mind them, but it's such a really cool way. People
Oh,
use
that is
Hurtigruten
cool.
to go see their grandparents in the northern regions. There's family reunions. People come on board just to have a cup of tea. So even our staff on board, they work 22 days on, 22 days off. And then their family will come on, have a cup of coffee or have a meal when they're in port. And that's kind of how they get their family time in. It's
Oh,
really
wow.
it's a fun experience. It's super laid back and tranquil though. So no casinos, no late night entertainment. Not uncommon to see people knitting, crocheting, Uno, doing puzzles, reading books. So if you are a stressed out mother like I am, it's the perfect environment. It's very tranquil, kind of
Nice.
slow living. Yes.
Nice. And of course, if you're traveling with Lynn, she is the evening entertainment. She will start dancing
This
and take care of
is
that.
this is factual, yes. But I'm
This
only
is
on board
fashion.
about once a year, and I think I am best in small doses. I don't think they would have me back more than once a year.
That's so funny. Lynn, why don't you go work in the States? We'll see you once a year.
Pretty much. I mean, after a while, they're like, okay, we get it. You like to run
No.
like a Phoebe
Oh
around
my
the track.
God. That's hilarious. I mean, just to kind of give some perspective, you have any idea, you may not, but like if you were to literally try to drive from one end of Norway to the other, I mean, what are we talking, days to do that, or lots of hours to do that? Do you have any idea?
Drive?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I met some Norwegians on board. They brought their car up to Honningsvåg, which is the jump
Uh-huh.
off point for the North Cape. And then they were going to go down to Kristiansand, which is the South Cape. I
Oh,
think they were probably going to try to do it in like 4 or 5 days, but they're breaking it up. But
wow.
it's quite the stretch.
Wow.
It's a
So it is
very,
quite the
even
trek.
from Trondheim down to Oslo, that would be about like an 8-hour drive. And that's not even
Wow.
midway through the country. But
Wow.
we should talk about the gas prices. It's about 20 or 30 kroner, $2-3
Uh-huh.
per liter. So that's probably going to be around 8 to 10 to $12 per gallon. So let's keep that in mind. It
Wow.
is financially a good idea to go with Hurtigruten and not
Go,
rent a car,
go,
right?
take the ship. Take the
Yeah,
ship.
take the ship.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness gracious. So, now that we know a little bit about the ship, and by the way, if you folks want to jump in, hey, Tara thinks it's a great company to work for. I mean, you can go work with Lynn. That'd be
Mhm.
awesome. Yeah. No, it's not yeah, right? You guys don't say yeah.
We always like to breathe in when we're agreeing. We go, yeah, yeah. So the typical Norwegian thing to do, I've been
I love
told.
it. Love it. Okay, so and now the big question is now that we kind of understand a little bit about the itinerary and how it's broken up, and you guys are, I think that actually really is pretty cool. A combination of working ship and a pleasure vessel for people just or leisure vessel for people to enjoy. Because like you said, having like a whole soccer team come on or just having some people come on, those would be like really unique experiences that you're really not going to get on any other cruise line, right?
Yeah.
Or any other way to travel.
Now that's on original though. Signature does not have port to ports. So
Right,
Signature
right. So
is
it's-
commercial. That is a full on more normal, but more elevated premium experience. But they're both
Right.
great. It's just what you, the listener, want to experience. It's all
Sure. So
subjective
you
at
give
the
us
end of the day.
options. We can
Yeah.
have that unique Norway experience, or we could have what you might consider a more traditional cruise experience. by
Yes,
doing the
sir. You
signature.
got it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So, and I assume that, next question from everybody is, so what's included? Because am I just paying for the room? Am I getting things with this?
Mhm.
I assume it's not exactly the same between the original and the signature. So what is included when people book a cruise?
Okay, I have the original slide up. So we'll start with the original. And again, that's
All right.
multiple departures every single week of the year. This one has your full board. So you're going to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Breakfast and
Nice.
lunch is generally buffet style, and dinner is usually a seated meal. So that is included. You'll have complimentary coffee and tea throughout your voyage. That's also a cultural thing. Norwegians might as well have like an IV with coffee. So they'll drink coffee into the late hours of the night. We do have
Yes.
Wi-Fi. We have lecture programs on board and
Love
points
it.
of interest out on deck and food tastings out on deck. So all of that is also included. The port charges, taxes, and fees. The price you see is the price you get. And we have a rather high minimum wage in Norway, so gratuities are not expected. We're pretty well
Oh.
paid in Norway, but
Wow.
alcoholic beverages not included. You have one restaurant included, but there are some optional restaurants where you can upgrade. So just keep in mind that it is rather inclusive, but anything off ship again is going to be an additional charge. So excursions, you do
Sure.
need to budget for those as well. And then
Wow.
if we're looking at the signature route, this is going to be the more premium, more inclusive package. So immediately you're going to have all of the soda, house beer, house wine, select spirits if you partake. And then you're going to have not one, but two restaurants. So you have Flora and Arran. One is similar to the breakfast, lunch, and dinner kind of timed meals. And then Arran is our brasserie that is open pretty much from noon onwards until 9. So close to all day dining. And we do have a third restaurant called Rust, and this is the culinary star. So Walter, you said you're a bit of a foodie.
Yes.
You have to get to Trollfjord. You need to go on a signature voyage. You need to get into Rust. It is the culinary star, 5-course
Wow.
meals, perfectly paired with.
Wow.
So 80% of our food is sourced locally for both products.
Wow.
So you will taste the coast of Norway, but 60% of our beverages are also sourced locally. So we might serve you sparkling wine called Havets Bobred, which is bubbles of the sea, and that is wine that we have aged underwater in undisclosed fjords for 6 months on end. Undisclosed because Norwegians love to drink, and if we knew where they were, we'd probably raid the crate.
Right.
So, but that
Right.
comes on board. We have distilleries that make premium akevit and gin only for Hurtigruten, organic IPAs only for Hurtigruten.
wow.
So it's really cool, and it's a lot more inclusive in terms of the signature route. Again, off-ship excursions will be an optional charge, but there's more photography workshops on the signature product. And if you book a suite, you have access to the fine dining restaurant Rust. And if you see down in the lower right-hand corner, the round-trip voyages, you'll get a clothing package and a couple seasonal excursions. So if you're a foodie, you like a bigger footprint for your space, then you should immediately be looking at the suite range because you do get a lot more inclusions with that. So, and then for 24-25 season, we do have some packages. If you're booking further out than 90 days, then we generally speaking will have pre or post or both hotel nights in there. It just depends on which signature you book. It's my long-winded way of going over excursions. Did I tell you I've never been accused of being concise?
No, and I mean,
Should have
hey,
told
we're
you that
just-
before.
We're doing absolutely fine. I hope you all are enjoying the conversation. I certainly am. One thing that wasn't on the list, and I don't know if you even have photos to show it, but I think one thing people do need to understand is that your ships are small, so the accommodations are smaller than say what they may have been used to.
Yes.
Do you have like any like approximate sizes? Oh, I see you're flipping through. Do you happen to have
Flipping through, I think I
pictures?
have them at the very end. We won't talk about
Oh,
the many, many thousands of slides that I have. But here, yeah, if you
no,
just want to flip back.
she has a lot of slides,
I don't know how to
which
edit.
is great. Which is
Yeah.
great.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I
hey,
do.
Mary, look at this. Mary's enjoying the conversation. Thank
Well,
you,
good.
Mary.
Thank you.
I
Stop. I
appreciate
can't
that.
possibly take these compliments. Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
Okay,
Okay.
so what you're looking at here, and keeping in mind when we do say we use the F word, we are also a ferry, but
Mhm.
don't think of us as like an Alaskan ferry. It's just a side thing of what we do. These are the suites on the original ships. So you can get
Nice.
suites with floor to ceiling windows, 2-room suites,
Nice.
but where you need to prepare, and I'm so glad that you asked or that you brought this up, Walter, because we strive for efficiency. So the staterooms
Right.
can run smaller. They will be tight, but you need to remember that the ships are not built for you to stay in your stateroom. If
Right.
space is important to you, you need to book a suite. And if you're
Sure.
just the type of person where you kind of want a whole house on a ship, then we might not be the
Right.
right fit. So what you want to
Right.
keep in mind with any Hurtigruten experience is that the ship is built for your comfort. Minimal
Right.
time is spent in your stateroom. You saw the daily planner. You're going to be in lectures. You're going to be out on deck, points of interest. You're going to be sailing down narrow fjords. You're going to be in the restaurant
Right.
or the 180-degree panorama lounge. That is your living room. That is where you can, again, we don't have the space on board unless I'm on board, in which case all bets are off. But again, once a year, one time only,
One
and I
time.
won't be on board for the remainder of 2024. So you are safe.
So,
But
folks, if you want to book, let's book now for
book now.
2024 before Lynn gets back on the ship. Okay. All right.
25, all bets are off. But it's really, if you can picture kind of like a cabin vibe, that's another really big part of Norwegian culture, is that you go to de-stress, you go to stay
Sure.
in the moment, you just relax, and that you're just going to find that you fall into this cadence where this is your base camp
Yes.
at sea, your home away from home.
I want the cabin with the dogs. I love the dogs on the headboard. That is so cute.
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah.
incredibly
No shortage of
cute.
huskies in Norway, or sea eagles,
Oh
as you
my
see in the
gosh.
other lower right-hand corner. Don't be a snob, Walter. We have sea eagles too.
Okay,
Just saying.
okay.
Yes.
Hey, Jen is voting for a group cruise with Lynn.
Woohoo!
So, folks, if enough people vote for that, I'm sure Lynn and I can work something out that, you get me and Lynn, then you'll have to decide who you like more. We'll have a
Oh,
contest.
Walter.
We'll have a dance contest and see who wins.
Listen, ain't nobody messing with my Elaine, I tell you. And careful
No,
what you wish
I
for,
can't.
Jen. Again, best in small doses. These are smaller, intimate ships. I'll find you.
I know. Folks, I'm telling you, you've got to watch her dance off on Instagram. It is
I think I'm an amazing
hilarious.
dancer. It's
It is
incredible.
hilarious.
Everybody's
I
got to have
love
their
it. I
shtick.
love it. And I since we're looking at cabins anyway, Alex actually asked a question that has been very popular over the past few years. Do you have solo cabins?
Oh, Alex, you just threatened me with a good time. I shall accept. All right, let's talk solo travelers. So we
Yeah.
don't have, well, I think some of our ships might have like one wonky dedicated solo cabins, but we're not going to worry about those. Every single
Right.
month of the year, Walter gets access to the list. And by the list, I mean hundreds of departures with no single supplement, where we will waive the supplement. So generally speaking, if you're looking for a solo traveler deal, you will want to look a little bit closer in. So what we do, we just pull capacity reports, and any sailing that might have a surplus of capacity, we might launch 10 cabins, first come, first serve, no single supplement. And we were just talking before this live too, and I still think if there's two girlfriends tuning in, I mean, a tight quarters can break a friendship. So save a friendship, go together and book your separate cabins anyways.
Yeah.
So every single month, so you need to just email Walter, give him whatever time frame you want to go, If you're a slave to corporate America, it's going to be a shorter cruise. If you have the leisure time, it'll be a longer cruise. And he checks our list every single month. So that's going to be the best practice there.
I
Yep.
do. Great question, Alex. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
that. I really appreciate that. And Mary is also voting for a group cruise. So I think, Lynn, we're going to have to talk at some point. Maybe we'll make it happen.
I'm there.
That could be a lot of fun. And yes, like she said, we do have access to that list, to the secret list that I'm willing to share with you all. And it's a very cool list because we're talking Norway, people. Norway, so awesome.
It's a cool place. Let me tell you.
It's a cool place, and I bet I'm really curious. So you're running the coast all year long. So obviously we can experience every season that Norway has to offer. So
yes.
How do things change, or what types of cruises do you have like throughout the various seasons, or do things change?
Do you mind if I give you a little shtick on the seasonality and then we'll go into the different?
Shtick, sure.
Let me go into my shtick. So first things first, 4 seasons means 4 distinct experiences. So if you're telling me, or if you're asking me, should I go back 4 times? I will say yes, absolutely. So let's just go through these seasons. So let's talk about spring. And by the way, we invented spring fever. Vårfølelse. If you see the frolicky, otherwise rather grumpy Norwegians, it's because we have not seen this yellow ball called the sun for a few months. So
Gotcha.
The cool thing about April, May, and let's call this a shoulder season. Again, second longest coastline in the world. You can sail from one season into the other season. So if you go in April, the sun has returned. You still have an opportunity to see the northern lights in the early month, but you will sail from spring in the south to full-on winter in the north. Wow. When you go in May, that is Norway's Constitution Day. So this is, again, where you'll see everybody out with their traditional Norwegian garb. We also have fierce waving competitions when we do pass other ships. It is a serious affair, and make sure that you're always out there. But May 17th is our Constitution Day. Beautiful time. I was on board May 17th, and we participated. We actually stopped the ship, walked in a parade like you see here. But you're going to have almost summer, so in the south, and you're going to have spring in the north and midnight sun. So at this point, the sun is not setting. Summer is where you have to tell your body, it is time to go to bed. I was in Svalbard and literally was just crocheting in the bar because we crochet and we drink Prosecco while we crochet. And I was like, it's 8 o'clock. It's 8 o'clock. Nope, it's 1 o'clock in the morning and it's still high noon out there. So the sun does not set. We love the great outdoors. So we're outside. So that's king crab fishing. We're hiking. We're kayaking. We're going on rib boat safaris. This is peak season. Again, all of the festivals kick into overdrive here. It is one of the most popular times to go to Norway because, again, we now have a stunning coastline. And if you are an insomniac, that's fine. Sit outside on deck at 3 o'clock in the morning. You still have full daylight. So that's a great time to go.
Go in the summertime.
We do also have blackout curtains. But if you can't sleep, yes, Walter, absolutely. But if you're in the bar, you have to almost set a timer that it is bedtime because your internal clock is going to wake you up at 3 in the morning. Am I right? Other people, other early risers here? Okay, but shoulder season, so summer is peak. So that means most people on board. So if you are people averse, maybe consider a shoulder season. September and October, fantastic months to go. September, once again, the last remnants of summer in the south, you are sailing into fall foliage, my dear friends. And it is peak foodie season because that is harvest season. And if we have no dress code on board, but if you do embark in jeans, you are probably debarking in sweatpants, also due to the harvest season here. But it is a stunning time to go. We're starting to move towards the polar night at this point. Northern light season does kick in September. So around mid-September onwards. And then in October, when we sailed October last year, we had fall in the south, and then we sailed into 20s in the north. So we had the onset of winter there. And then the last season will be winter. And just like the sun does not set in summer, it does not rise in winter. So that will tell you it is peak northern lights season. And don't think it's pitch black the whole time. We have cotton candy skies like you see here, but winter also marks the onset of winter activities. So I don't know if you've seen us in the Winter Olympics, but we dominate. And cross-country skiing, that is an excursion you can take. You can go dog sledding, go hang out with some reindeer. But this is where we do have the best nightlife. And by nightlife, I mean chasing the northern lights out on deck. And this is such an amazing concept. But you do need to remember there's not a lot of daylight. So if Northern Lights is like all you want, then this is a great time to go. It's also peak whale season, and you have the Christmas markets in December. So every season has kind of like little, mini seasons within it. So it entirely depends on what you want to experience. Snowmobiling under the Northern Lights again. There's so many different activities that you can participate in, but that's the seasonality of things. You can absolutely go 4 times and have 4 distinctly different experiences, all of which will expand the Beltline.
Yes.
Yeah.
I saw that 7 degrees for a low. So yeah, you definitely got to bring your winter clothes when you're coming to this
well,
one.
there's no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothes. So you can layer, and there's no dress code. So you can dress like a Michelin figure. Nobody's going to judge you on board. You will be A-okay.
Before we jump in any further, Rick actually has an interesting question. What about accessibility on board? Can you come on with a scooter, for example? Can we use walkers? Your ships are pretty small. So how about someone who has accessibility issues coming on the ship?
We do have about 3 cabins on each ship that are accessible cabins. We have elevators on all of our ships. If you are wheelchair bound, you do need to bring someone who can help you get her. So you do have to get on board. And sometimes at some of the ports, it's like a stair. So we would actually load you almost on the car deck, and then you would take that elevator up. So it is certainly possible, but you do please over communicate any and all details about anything accessibility related so that we can adequately prepare.
Gotcha. Yeah. But you can. And of course, like you said, somebody might say, well, gosh, you only have 3 cabins. Well, how many cabins are on a ship to begin with? There's not that many, right?
No, we max out we have around an average of 500 guests per ship. But remember, we have 6 ships operating. So if one departure is sold out, then you probably have 3 more departures the same week. Just be a little flexible.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wow. So we don't have to be locked into Sunday to Sunday. It can be something different.
Yeah, anytime you can look it up with flights, or if you want to go on a new moon to chase the northern lights, or I don't know, whatever you're looking for, we'll probably have a departure.
Wow. So Alex is saying tough decisions when you enjoy summer the most, but you want to see the northern lights.
You should go in September, Alex.
I was just going to say, is there a time you can go where it's not absolutely freezing?
Yeah. Okay. So for the snowbirds tuning in again, so you will get the question, when is the best time to see the northern lights? That's a trick question. We shall not answer it. It depends on what you want to experience. So if you are snow averse, shall we say, you might want to go in September, October timeframe, because you still have ample daylight hours, about 13 hours or so. You still have milder temperatures, but all we need really for darkness here, and I'll just, let's see, I'll skip ahead to the next slide here if you want to show that back. All we need for northern lights really is darkness, clear skies, and some solar activity, essentially. So the reason the northern lights actually occur year round, you just don't see them because that pesky yellow ball in the sky just will not set. So it finally sets after July, and then it gradually gets darker to the point where we can now start to see the northern lights. So September is a good time to experience ample daylight hours. I mean, not midnight sun, but listen, Alex, beggars can't be choosers. You can go back twice, or you can try to do maybe a mid-September where you're going to kind of have the best of all worlds, I would say. I'm also snow averse, if that, I was born in Florida, so I do live in North Carolina now, so I've moved away from the snow.
Okay. So you can do that, and that just kind of leads us into, the northern lights in general. I know you guys really are up on, let's see, what is it? Solar maximum. And when you have the, highest number of departures, plus I definitely want to talk about that amazing follow the Northern Lights itinerary.
Yeah. So we'll talk about let's say you're interested in Northern Lights first. So this is your homework, ladies and gentlemen. You will look up the auroral oval and you're going to look up the Northern Lights forecast. Anywhere underneath this oval is a great place to see the Northern Lights. But I think I want to take it a step further. I think you should consider a cruise for your next Northern Lights hunt. So let's pretend we're in Reykjavik. Iceland is fantastic for Northern Lights, but they have light pollution in the city. So now you're on a bus trying to leave town. Maybe you have to drive a few hours out of town and the Northern Lights don't occur. Well, now you're angry 3 hours away from your hotel, have to go back. But with us, we are already away from light pollution. Keep that in mind. We are a floating Northern Lights observatory. If it is a cloudy evening, guess what? We can sail past cloud cover, and a large majority of our routes are underneath the auroral oval. So the chances are really good. Also, get your beauty sleep, because you go to bed. We will say, ladies and gentlemen, now we have Northern Lights out on deck. If you want to come out on deck, and listen, we all look a hot mess at 2 o'clock in the morning. Nobody looks good. Just throw on all of your layers, go out there and chase the Northern Lights. You have this beautiful ever-changing backdrop, and you can race inside, warm up, then go back outside. It's really, we're just like a bunch of kittens, like it's like herding kittens. We're like, cold nights. Okay, heat up, get some hot chocolate, then go out for round 2. It's really
hot chocolate.
It's the most fun experience ever. We did that in October last year, and we had Northern Lights 4 out of the 6 nights we were on board.
Wow.
Wow. And then the solar maximum. So you're going to ask when you should go. Obviously now.
Wow. Oh,
so
boy, now,
I'm going to lay some
we're doing
facts
science
on
now.
you.
Anybody
we're
feel like
doing
they're back
science.
in school?
I am a saleswoman, so please do not put any follow-up questions in the chat, because I am not the astronomer here. But if you look at my handy-dandy chart, this is showing the solar cycle 25, and you'll see that it tends to peak every 11 years or so. We are midway through solar cycle 25, and that means that there's lots of angry little black spots on the sun, and these angry spots are emitting what we call the solar wind, which is drawn towards our atmosphere magnetically. And when these gases collide with our atmosphere, bada boom, bada bing, you have the Northern Lights. So this is how it happens. And I'm sorry if Tom Kurse is listening, then I have probably butchered this and he's probably shaking his head. But the point of the matter here is that we do think that this is the best time in 11 years where you will see the Northern Lights. And I just want to share a few pictures from our smartphones from October last year. The Samsung S23 did put my iPhone 14 to shame, but you'll see that this on the left here, that is my stateroom. That is where we got the notice at 1:30 in the morning. The 2 to the right were from November of 23. And if you're lucky, you can capture a dinosaur. I mean, with your smartphone.
Look at that.
Yeah.
That looks like a volcano on the right.
Yes. Right? So this is all smartphone footage over the course of a few nights.
Wow.
And if I don't have your attention yet, listen, the house always wins, but we have a Northern Lights promise, basically stating that if there are no Northern Lights occurrences anytime between September 20th and March 31st, you have to go 11 days or longer. But if there are no occurrences, you are automatically eligible for a free cruise the following season. We know this is a big bucket list thing for you, so we definitely want to make sure that you see the Northern Lights. But I will reiterate, if there are no Northern Lights occurrences, if I make the announcement at 2 o'clock in the morning and you don't get out of bed, do you think you're getting a free cruise? No. I've done my part. So that's my promise.
The voices are just making this so much
I can't help it. I'm very performative.
No, this is great. I mean, this is so much better than I ever imagined this was going to go.
We do have another question. How warm does it get?
Oh, see that? So how warm does it actually get during its warmest months? Thank you, Tara.
I think we could probably see some temperatures in the 80s. maybe 90s on a hot day, but we don't really have a lot in the way of humidity. Yeah. So, but though that would probably be like a shorter time frame and probably like further south, I would say in Oslo region. You know, the further north you get, it's probably not going to get as warm, but you can probably,
Right.
oh my goodness, they tell it to me in Celsius. So whatever 15 or 20 degrees Celsius would be in Fahrenheit. I don't have it readily available, but
Yeah.
60s, 70s up north, maybe.
Yeah, it's going to be getting right up
Mhm.
close to 80s as you get up into the 20s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And did you want me to show that follow the lights itinerary? I can speed
I
forward on that one.
absolutely want to show that. Thank you, Tara. I appreciate it. Tara is one of our longtime supporters. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. I'm just going to click through some itineraries here until I get to follow the lights. Northbound and southbound.
Check this out, people. This is amazing.
This is the bucket list of all bucket list items
Yes.
because here the one route is a northbound cruise. It starts in Oslo, our beautiful capital, and then you have the world-renowned Norway in a nutshell from Oslo to Bergen here, and then you do go on the Flom Railway. There is it's kind of a mixture between rail, a bus, and a boat down a UNESCO-listed fjord. So you've already hit fjords before you even get to Bergen, which is Norway's second largest city. Then from Bergen, you have a Northern Lights cruise all the way up here to Kirkenes, and this builds on that original route. You are stopping 34 ports, but you will not notice it. But when you debark, it gets a little spicy, if you will. So now we are going to be very good girls and boys, and we're going to go to Santa's village. We're going to go to the Sami Museum. We're going to spend a night in the Igloo Hotel. You've seen those on Instagram where you just lay in your hotel seeing the Northern Lights. If you're asking me, is there dog sledding, Lynn? Yes, there's dog sledding. There are some reindeer there, and then you have rail from Rovaniemi down to Helsinki. So that is our bucket list. Best of Land and Sea. It does max out at 24 guests, and all of our group departures do have tour leaders. And if you wanted to do it the other way, you could also start in Helsinki, take the rail up to Rovaniemi, go hang out with Santa and the Sami, and then pop on to the Northern Lights voyage, and then end in Oslo. So 2 ways to explore that bucket list destination there.
Wow. So
I know I'm threatening you with a good time.
I mean, land and sea. This is so amazing. And this is what, 17 days or 15 days there?
Southbound, 17 northbound. So yes.
Wow. I mean, folks. I mean, if you're going to go all the way to Norway, why not go all the way? Plus Santa. We know
That's
him.
What I'm saying. Yes.
Him.
And we have Wi-Fi on board, and there's like a quiet vacationing trend or something. There, everybody's remote. You can be remote.
Yeah, and obviously I need
from
to
the
be
ship.
That's like
Walter, you could go work from ship here.
I do, except when the Wi-Fi completely dies on a ship you were just on last week, and then suddenly your whole week is thrown off. So yes, I know.
Our Wi-Fi is pretty good. The only thing I couldn't really do was binge my Netflix. Bridgerton's out, by the way, but yes, I couldn't binge, unfortunately.
So see, Alex is asking right now. So you couldn't binge. So can you stream?
Have I streamed? I don't know.
Well, I mean like watching. Not trying to live stream.
I don't think I tried that. So I don't know, but email fine, social media fine. Yeah. Great. I guess, am I a boomer? Am I a tech boomer? Because I don't stream. I don't know. I guess I would have to get back on board and test it.
See, Alex, I guess you're just going to have to go try it.
It
sounds like you can probably do it. Yeah. And Jen is loving this. She was wondering if you could match up the train, and you've doubled that. Yeah, see that? It's even better than the train.
Yeah, it's a total bucket list and departure. I think we're pretty fully booked for 24-25, so we're already looking at 25-26. Wow. But our chief Aurora chaser, Tom Kurz, has also said that they believe the solar maximum is going to span into 26 as well. So
wow. Well, this
just
is the
come hang out. And remember, it's not just Northern Lights. It's amazing culinary cruises. We have awesome education on board. It's a new form of wellness. Without the spas, you're just going to feel better when you get home. I promise you.
Wow, it is. I mean, that is just absolute. That's the one I want to do, folks. So, when I'm ready to do it, I'll certainly let everybody know. And if you want to come along, that is, I mean, it's like everything wrapped into one. Plus Santa. I mean, come on, we get to
I
go visit
know.
Santa. That is such a
How
hallmark
can you
thing.
not?
Yeah, how could you not? And then, so beyond the Northern Lights, and please, folks, if you do want to go see the Northern Lights, you're seeing why you want to go with Hurtigruten. That's how we Americans are going to say it, Hurtigruten. Um, but you can see why, if you want to go see the Northern Lights, number one, they've got the small ships. They've been there 131 years. But two, I mean, you've got that Northern Lights guarantee. Just stay on board for 11 nights or longer.
Yeah.
And if for some reason they're not seen by the ship, which sounds like that would be pretty hard to do, but
Yeah.
if the ship doesn't see them during those 11 days, then you will be invited back to try again.
Yeah.
And that
For
is
free.
absolutely amazing.
No charge.
For free,
6 or 7
no
days.
charge.
Yep. So
Yeah. And Linn promises not to be on board and dance during the free cruise if you have to.
I have been known to entice some Northern Lights showings with my Northern Lights dances, I'll have you know.
I love that.
I think it was
love
because
that.
of me, to be honest. But yes.
Wow.
You let me know if you guys want me on board or not. I think it'll be
See.
fun.
See. All
Alex
right.
asks, has anyone redeemed the promise yet?
Oh.
Yes, we've had to pay out. Sometimes the house does not win. And let me just spell out the fine print. Generally speaking, you're going to have to book your new cruise within 28 days upon your return. But if it is not logged in the captain's log, absolutely you are eligible for that free cruise. And listen, sometimes the plans we make, Mother Nature breaks, and if there's no break in the clouds, or if the sun's not angry with the sunspots, then you need darkness, clear skies, and the solar activity. So I hope I didn't butcher that. But again, I'm in sales. I am not an astronomer.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's close enough for sales, right?
I think it's passing grade. It's passing grade.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Right.
it's fine.
65 is passing, right? 66 is passing. As long as we're
Is
there.
it? Oh,
I don't know. I have no idea what it is. I haven't been in school.
we're aging ourselves now. How long has it been since we were in school?
Yeah, I don't know.
Move along.
Moving along to, now that we've talked about Northern Lights, let's talk about summer, because you do have some beautiful summer itineraries as well. And what, you have midnight sun? So like you guys go from total darkness to no darkness at all.
Listen, we don't do anything half-baked. We live our lives to the fullest. And once again, the glaring call out here. Original is what, Walter? 34 ports of call. Working. Signature commercial. Not working. Right. So again, we do have the Coastal Express, or I'm sorry, the original Coastal Express here. That is the route that you see here. You could do as much or as little. Port to ports, if you're doing something shorter, it's going to be probably within 6 months or so, because we always, of course, we are a business. We want to sell the longer stretches first. Right. But the 4 original classics would be Bergen, Kirkenes, Bergen, 12 days. Let me go ahead and preemptively answer a question that has not been asked. And why should you do the full round trip voyage if you are only calling upon the same ports twice? So there's a rule for that. General rule of thumb, the ports that you pass during daytime sailing north, you will generally hit them during night sailing south, and vice versa. So that is, with the 12-day, you get the highest number of ports in daytime hours. But you could do Bergen, Kirkenes, Trondheim. So this is my city right here. This is where the true heathens live. And just fun fact, if this one it is the Viking capital, but if this would be of interest, you could fly into Oslo, take the train to Bergen, sail up to Kirkenes, down to Trondheim. You can take the train back from Trondheim down to Oslo. It's a beautiful package. Best of land and sea there as well. To my slaves of corporate America tuning in, fear not, we do have 7 days, Bergen to Kirkenes, and 6 days, Kirkenes to Bergen. So that's just the standalone cruise. But this is the one that Walter loves, and this is another best of land and sea. So, Alex, you did ask about Finland and Norway. So we will start in Sweden, in Stockholm, take the overnight ferry this time to Helsinki, rail up to Rovaniemi, the Sami Museum again, and you're going to have that midnight sun cruise. And then you'll see this dotted line here. That is the Arctic Circle. So there is not really midnight sun below the Arctic Circle, but the sun might set at 1 in the morning, and we'll come back
Wow.
up at 3. So
That's
only, but
amazing.
above the Arctic Circle, we do have proper 24-hour midnight sun. The sun does not set,
Crazy.
essentially. And then
Wow.
we have one last midnight sun itinerary that I just sailed that I think is the bomb biggity and a bag of chips, and that is the Svalbard line. What I
Okay.
did, I sailed from Longyearbyen down here via Tromsø down to Bergen, but let me just be a little bit long-winded. I know we're probably going a bit over here, but this
That's
is a
fine.
legacy route. We had this route in place between 1968 and 1982. So when we launched this itinerary, it was in conjunction with our 130th anniversary to pay homage to our rich history and past.
Oh,
So
wow.
this archipelago that you see up here, ladies and gentlemen, this is 800 miles from the North Pole. And
Oh,
this is the
wow.
world's northernmost everything, northernmost brewery, northernmost post office, northernmost settlement with more than 1,000 people. There are rumored to be more polar bears than people in the Svalbard
Oh,
archipelago
wow.
region. Don't expect to see them on this itinerary, though, because they don't much care for settlements, and we only call upon the actual settlements here, but it's a really
Right.
cool place, Longyearbyen. I call it the wonderfully wonky, but here's your second piece of homework. This is your Armageddon plan, guys. We do not need a
Wow.
visa to live in Svalbard. If you have heard of the Global Seed Vault, it is located
Yep.
very close to Longyearbyen. So this is, if everything goes sideways, this is your escape plan. You can go here, but you are not allowed to give birth here because there's not enough modern medical facilities, and you are
Oh.
not allowed to be buried in Svalbard
Oh.
because the permafrost will push the remains of good old Uncle Oscar up to the, you're not going to stay buried for long if you
No.
are buried. So
No.
really cool, wonderfully wonky place. I
Wow.
sailed Longyearbyen down to Bergen, so you can do for this year you can do 15 days on the remaining voyages. So you can do the
Wow.
full round trip, or you can just do one of the half voyages. But Svalbard is
Wow.
such a cool destination, so I highly
Yes.
recommend it. That's my midnight sun
That's
chasing.
very, very cool. Wow.
Yeah.
That, wow. I don't know which
Yes,
one I
keep
want to do more
telling me.
now.
Wow, you Svalbard line. That's the premium line again. More inclusions, longer port
Right.
stays. It has a larger coastal experience team, so there's more lectures. There will be arts and crafts. You can learn how to knit on the Svalbard line. I actually crocheted 7 scarves on my 2 cruises. I did. I just passed them out. I'm like, okay, I'm team carry on, but I need
I
something to
love
do.
it.
Mm,
I love that. Oh my gosh, there's like so
yeah.
many. It's such a different way, for those of us who have we've been cruising 20 years and we've never done anything like what you're describing. And this is the kind of stuff that I love discovering. I remember when I first found out about your company, I was just like, oh my God, you guys go to so many cool places, but even
Mm,
just within Norway, the culinary experience, the cultural experience. And I
yes.
love the fact that you can go round trip. And like you said, even though you're going to hit the same ports, you're actually going to hit them at different times of the day. So you kind of have the opportunity to see them all
Exactly.
if you go round trip in 13 days. I mean, that's a good cruise for anybody.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it is. It
oh
is.
my
I'm glad you
God.
think it. Dare to be different. Dare to discover something a little differently, because we've never really tried to be like anyone else. I don't know if you've noticed. I'm not like perhaps other people you've met. A little out there.
Not really. No. No, you're definitely the most unique representative I have in the industry. That is for sure.
Thank
And
you. I'll take
Betty's
that as a
ready to go
compliment.
crochet with you. So there we go. We're going to have the Linn and Wally group crochet cruise.
We have crochet and knitters groups. I can't knit though, Betty, so I only crochet and I only know one pattern.
So, and she takes her yarn on all the cruises. So there we go. I mean, I have actually heard of like hundreds of crocheters being on a cruise. So that would be kind of fun. A Northern
Yeah.
Lights crochet cruise, well, I guess the midnight sun, because then you just forget what time it is and you're just going, right? Right.
Yeah, I did
Oh
crochet
my
7.
goodness.
So yes, a lot of those took place underneath. See, we got Jen, we got Betty. Okay, this is what we're doing, Walter. We're putting together a knitting / crochet. Okay, well, Betty, you can crochet, Jen, you'll knit. It's fine.
See,
And then we will have a group. We'll just do that.
and I will serve the hot chocolate while all that's happening.
Yes,
How about that?
all in favor of Walter serving us 24/7. Yes,
I
I'll
love
take
doing
it.
well. I love to cook and I love to entertain at home. So yes, I would be more than happy to do that for
Lovely.
sure.
Yeah.
Wow, folks, I hope you've had as much fun as I have. This has been just one freaking amazing hour, Lynn. I love having you on. I love talking to you. And I really, folks, I'm telling you, these guys are the Mac Daddy. You want to go to Norway, you want to go to Norwegian fjords, you want to do, you know, all the things that are on your list. We know all the big mainstream lines. They go up there, they're there for a while, and then they leave. But Hurtigruten is part of the fabric. Yes, it is a different way of cruising. Yes, it might be smaller ships than you're used to. But if you just want to be like really an immersive experience, whether you go signature or I'm telling you, I'm really loving the idea of the original, just that immersion in the Norwegian culture,
Yeah.
people coming and going and things like that. That
Yeah.
sounds really cool.
And
That
the
sounds really
smaller ships, we fit into the narrow nooks and crannies where the white ships cannot go. You could probably fit our entire fleet into one big white ship, but there's this one particular fjord, and Alex, I'm talking to you. It is in the summertime. There's one fjord, and this is your other homework. It's called the Troll Fjord. It is 100 meters wide.
Troll Fjord.
Troll Fjord. We have lots of trolls too, by the way. But basically, it is about 100 meters wide at its most narrow point. And then you're looking out. There's a vertical mountain that shoots up over 1,000 meters, and you can only go in that fjord at certain times of the year because there's what's skriefare from Norwegian to English. Mudslide or avalanche danger. So we can only go when it's safe. But I was on the first deviation into the fjord, and talk about bucket list. It has been a dream of mine since I was a kid to sail into the fjord. And it's almost like the nose of the ship is within meters of this vertical mountain shooting up. Again, shameless plug to expedition_Linn. I do have pictures on my Instagram. But it is a really, really cool experience. Google the Troll Fjord. And the white ships aren't taking you there, ladies and gentlemen. So it pays to have a smaller, more intimate ship.
And we've been talking so long, I literally forgot to put this banner up at some point during the show. So for those of you who are still hanging with us, wow, and 100 meters. So that 100 meters, that is
300 feet ish.
Wow.
Give or take.
Wow, that's incredible how tight that is. I don't think the icon of the seas is going into that fjord at all.
Nowhere near.
No. But folks, if you book your Hurtigruten cruise with us by July 7th, what is that? That's 800 NOK?
NOK, Norwegian kroner. Yeah.
Norwegian kroner. So if you book with us by July 7th of 2024, you will receive essentially $80 in onboard credit per person, not for the cabin, but per person. So a little something from Lynn to you for booking with us by July 7th. I can't believe we've gone the whole show. I totally forgot to put that up there. But yeah, folks, I think now you see why, as we've done this show, you can see why I'm just so doggone excited about this cruise line, why I want to get on there, and why I really want to send you all to Norway on this. I know it's on your bucket list. It's on my bucket list. The Northern Lights is on everybody's bucket list. But
this year.
Yeah, this year. This is the year, right? This is the year that's going to be the maximum, right?
Yeah.
So, oh man, I hope we can do it. Well, Lynn, is there anything at all that oh, hey, you know what we didn't mention real quick? What's the minimum age for children? Can children come on board?
Children are welcome. I wouldn't say we have a ton of kids, but we are multi-gen friendly, and there's this new trend. It's called skip gen. So if there's any grandparents listening, and mom, if you're listening, take the kids. I'll get you on board. But children 0 to 3, essentially, they go for free. 4 to 15, they go up to 50% off. So we are children friendly, and it's a really cool experience, particularly for teenagers. Young. It's never too early to cultivate those young minds in the next generation. So, but we don't have a ton of kids, but we are kid friendly.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, that was great. Well, folks, I hope you had a great time with us. I certainly did. I learned a bunch myself here. And I'll remind you that I am Walter, your independent travel advisor. And if we can help you in any way with your Norway planning with Hurtigruten, just reach out. Where's WalterTravel.com. There are links down in the description of this broadcast. And Lynn, what can I say? This has been so much fun.
Thank you. Rick said very pleasant hours spent. So stop with the compliments. We can't possibly accept them.
No, please stop. Please stop. Please stop. Thanks, guys.
Okay, so we're going to learn one more piece of Norwegian before I let you go.
Oh, are we? Okay, folks.
Thank you for having me is takk for meg. Takk for meg, or in my country bumpkin, it'll be takk for meg.
Takk for meg. Okay. And with that, I will say thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and hopefully we'll see you on Sunday morning at 10:30 on TikTok and YouTube, and we'll see you next Thursday night right here on YouTube. Have a great evening, everybody.